Alrighty then. We had a nice extra bunch of people join in and subscribe this month, which is extra nice. Keys, wallet, phone. All right. It's always a good feeling when people are finding out what's going on in the town and you're responsible for it. So thank you for everyone who's here. This is more cars than we normally have. So I think it's because we have the new chicken law is on the books for the agenda. And then we have Hot Ass Woods, who, the woman who resigned was overcharging him using the planning board, and he paid, and he must have given the town way over $100,000 in just planning fees and whatnot. That's unlawful. So hopefully he'll get his money back. Oh, look at that. They started ahead of time. I'll try not to get your head. I usually film from right here.
What do you got there?
I live stream all the town board meetings so that the community can see what's going on without having to leave their house.
So I shouldn't make any comments.
Go ahead, make tons of comments. You're always welcome by me. I would never bully anybody like you do here.
I was just kidding a little bit.
Maybe you'll be in for a surprise.
Yeah, well,
It's okay. Alright. Then I'll sit right here. Yeah, I'll sit next to you guys then. Thank you. That's good. Great grandfather? Congratulations. Oh, that's awesome. Fourth time. This is Richie's first. They told me. That's pretty cool. My little crooked. Yes, I. There we go. You guys here for the chickens? Tom Milani? No? What's your name? What's that? Oh, okay. I feel like I know you from somewhere, but... Okay, maybe.
Well, I forgot to bring it up. I don't know if you made it. I gotta put it over again. I keep changing it.
Never care.
Order of business tonight is the minutes from the March 19th meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? All in favor?
I got one thing on
Okay.
the tree trimming. Mike said it's gonna take him 6 weeks to get someone to close the road, even with him trying to do it with the state. So after speaking with Easy Tree Service, He said he would keep his price for next year and, do it, and I talked to Mike, and the trees aren't really ready to be trimmed right now.
Can they be done in the fall?
Yes, they can.
Yeah, but I would do them in the winter, if they're gonna wait, well, after they go dormant.
Yeah,
Because
That's
you
what,
want
that's what I
100%.
meant by
You need to
fall.
really cut them back.
No, 100%.
That's what I meant by
No.
fall.
So you can still do them in December.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll do them at the
that's
end
what
of
we
the year.
figured. He's gonna set up a date and do it there.
That's not so much. Okay,
Good idea.
all in favor of accepting the minutes the way they're written?
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the
Right,
minutes.
Yeah.
that's new information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so good.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, next is a public hearing regarding the amendment to the town code regarding chickens. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Questions or comments regarding the proposed law? Sir?
Gary Hunt, town Lagrange. Just want to thank the town for going through several revisions and coming up with the very common sense amendment for the town. Thank you.
Others?
We're gonna do one thing with the free range, that someone doesn't have to be out there watching them.
Well, bottom line is if the chickens are in the neighbor's yard, they're in trouble, right?
Yes.
So I don't care, unless you got trained chickens.
I've had chickens for.
Well, but Richard, you own quite a bit of land.
Yeah.
They're not gonna go more than
Still,
100 yards.
It's a 100 by 100 area, it's
But if they're in the neighbor's yard, they could have a problem.
100%.
All right, that's it.
Right, and understand, we don't have people patrolling through the
Right.
town looking for
Nobody's
chickens
complaining.
that are, 5 feet past the property line. If we have complaints, we'll investigate the complaints, and people's chickens are not in their yard, or they're in the neighbor's yard, and they're complaining, then we're gonna have to do something about it, that's all. And you have something you want to say, sir?
Yeah, Leon Bahaba from Titusville Farm. I just have a letter here from our lawyer.
We got
Uh,
it.
you
We're
got it
gonna
right?
add that, this law has nothing to do with a real farm.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's
Right,
the
it's
actual
clear,
case.
has not,
Yeah.
but we are gonna add that, just to be clear, right?
So just to be clear, I carried over from the last draft that you reviewed in the fall, the language that's quoted in Cutting and Fader's letter. I was able to carry it over as subsection D, and penalties is now a new subsection E.
Okay, so we've added what
Yeah.
they've added.
Yes.
Just so the rest of the public is aware, there was a concern that the law doesn't specifically exempt agriculture properties from the zoning law. Our feeling was that New York State ag law makes that very clear that they're not governed by that, but they've asked us to call it out directly in the law and say that if you're an operating farm, you're not subject to the same regulations as a homeowner with chickens. As I said, that's already true under New York State ag law, but we're gonna just clarify it and make it clear in the law as well. Other questions and comments? Sir?
You got it.
No?
I just want to mention, I think I agree with the chicken rulings, much appreciated. They did this here. But last night on the news, pardon me, last night on the news, Channel 11, at 10 o'clock, there was an issue in New York City with chickens and roosters, all right? They had a couple in the yards and stuff like that. The apartment buildings, all right, around were complaining about the roosters and the chickens and the same issues that always pop up. As we expand this town, or if you expand this town, just keep in mind, all right, I hope these rules stand up, because with complexes, they can have a lot of people, they don't like that. So if we keep it as rural as possible, I think we'll be better off.
All right, thank you. Sir?
Thank you. David Machia, Town of Lagrange. I just wanted to bring up the fact that in ag law, it discusses animals, and companion animal or pet means any dog or cat, but shall also mean any other domesticated animal normally maintained in or near the household of the owner or person who cares for such other domesticated animal. Pet or companion animal shall not include a farm animal. And a farm animal is an animal that which are raised for commercial or sustenance purposes. So if you're not raising that chicken purposely to eat it, or purposely to eat its eggs, then it is a companion animal. And I'm just making sure that we understand you're now regulating a companion animal the same way that you would be regulating a dog.
And it doesn't seem like you took that into account. And that's state law. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments? Do you have a motion to close the public hearing?
I have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Matt Thompson, just wanted to say thank you as well. I feel like you really listened to the town, so appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Others? Do you have a motion to close the public comment? Or the public hearing, excuse me.
Same thing, thank you all for handling this the way you did, and arriving at the, appreciate it.
Do it a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution with the amendments mentioned by the town attorney?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. All right, we have a number of things in correspondence. The first is from the New York Public Interest Research Group. This is just an info informing us that they're going to have some people in the area doing door-to-door outreach for quite some time, yeah, for several months apparently. They just wanted us to be aware of it in case people call and ask what's going on. Next in your thing is a resignation letter from Christine regarding the Ethics Committee. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Lastly, we have a request for refund of site plan approval fees. This matter has been investigated multiple times over the last many months, and by numerous people. The total amount that is mentioned is really comprised of three kind of buckets, if you will. The largest bucket is something in excess of $25,000 that had to do with site plan approval through the planning board. Another $7,700 was escrow fees, which, as everybody knows, goes to pay for consultants to do reviews associated with the planning board, and the other were $3,600 associated with building fees, COs, that sort of stuff, building permits. I've looked at them. I have no reason to believe that any of the fees charged were not in compliance with the fee schedules that we voted on and had in place, and nor the arithmetic is off, nor any of those things. So
I told him, table it and have him come and talk to you, and you would just go over it right with him, and he'd be fine.
I'm sure he's had people go over it with him numerous times in the past. I'd be happy to do that. He just doesn't like the number.
Yeah, well, none of
And I would point out that he was given an itemized bill before he wrote the check.
Yeah.
So
Not
he
true.
paid it.
Listen,
And now it's years later and he wants some of the money back.
he thinks that because he built a pole barn building, it's cheaper than building any building. He still
But
has to
it's
go.
square foot. It doesn't.
You still gotta go
Yeah.
through secret plat. This is
It's
commercial.
still-
This is not a barn on a farm.
Right,
So
and it's
whether-
based on square footage and so forth. It has no idea.
Well, that's
It
what I
makes no
did
difference.
explain to him, that it's
Yeah.
all on square footage and it all comes out the way it comes out. And
Correct.
there is not much we
He
can
has
do
a
about it,
commercial
but I
building.
did tell him that I'd come down, go
Right.
over it with him.
I would also add that we regularly look at our fee schedule and compare it to surrounding municipalities for some sort of sensibleness. And when they're modified, they're virtually always modified up because we find we're charging less than the surrounding ones. So I can't remember us ever reducing one because we determined that they were exorbitant in comparison to any other municipalities. I don't believe that's ever happened, so.
That's how you develop a town responsibly, cost money.
But if he wants to come in and
Yep, okay,
action, I'll be happy to do that.
I appreciate it.
All right, next up is, two out-of-district agreements, one for water and one for sewer for the same property. These have been worked on and prepared by our attorney in conjunction with the applicant. Do I have a motion to? Sure. I have a motion to approve both the Manchester Water District and Manchester Sewer District out of agreements for 29 Meadow Ridge Road. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next up is appointment of members for the planning board. You have a kind of a detailed schedule in your package that shows who we're appointing, and when their terms will expire when the term would have expired for the person they're replacing, so that's why they're all different. They're taking over an unexpired term for the people. The annual salary is listed for the position. That's what was said at the reorg meeting, but note that it'll be prorated based on their service. So we're appointing them tonight, so it'll be roughly 3/4 of this amount, because it'll be calculated on days rather than months probably, but it'll be roughly 3/4 of this. And we're also appointing a ZBA position, and all that's true of them as well. So do I have a motion to make the appointments on the list for the planning board and zoning board positions? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Also, do I have a motion to appoint a new secretary for planning and zoning board of appeals at an hourly rate of $37.91?
No.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. All right. The building inspector has asked us to authorize them to hire a seasonal clerk in the building department. This is somebody that we've hired in the past and has worked out really well. They're basically interns, although they don't work for free, but they're getting paid significantly less than a part-time person.
No benefits, part-time?
Part-time, no. Yeah, right. And it's a good learning experience for the people involved. I think it's a really good program. Do I have a motion? Okay, and we have to set the salary at $17.50 an hour. Okay.
So it was.
I think it was.
Kelly?
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next up is a request from the Director of Parks and Rec, asking to add some field usage fees to the fee schedule, the existing schedule. These are additional fees beyond what we currently have.
These are fees that have been in place for many years, and it was just the realization that they weren't on the printed formal fee schedule for this year.
Okay, so these are fees that we've always had in the
Yes,
past,
we
but it was
voted on them in the
omitted
past.
in the official schedule that we approved.
Correct.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept the, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next is also a request from Sandy. It's a regards approving of background checks for camps and clinic programs. Yeah, I'm gonna make an attempt to explain this if I can. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Before we get to that, we have a request to approve the LPI funds for the concrete slab at Overlook Park. We talked about this last
We did,
week, or the
yes.
last meeting, I should say.
I presented it at the last meeting. I had at that point in time just one estimate from the contractor. I
Okay.
since received 2 others.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is the same, tonight's a formal request for the conversation I had at the last meeting, to reallocate the leftover funds, and then to allocate an additional $5,500. I don't believe I'm going to need all of that money. The contractor that I'm looking at has given us an estimate of $9,000 total for labor and materials. I just want to make sure that I am fully covered because the electrical work is going on right now. Based on all of the numbers and all of the math, we will be coming in well under budget, so some money will be going back into the LPI.
Okay.
But considering the work is still ongoing, if there were to be some kind of a situation, I don't want to put us right down to the exact dollar source, a little bit of contingency there. But we should be in very good shape.
Yes,
Okay.
we could get everyone to know when they're got it, and then we can carry on to make sure we're in by the date you want it.
Yes, so the contractor is guaranteed that we can have the job done and complete before fishing weekend, which is 26th and 27th of this month.
I know.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
right down to one.
Did you want to make a motion?
5,500,
And
additional
second?
5,500 for next year. So, okay.
Susan, second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Now, next one up is a request for approving a new background check policy for camps and clinics. I'm gonna try and summarize this if you'll allow me.
Of course.
Our camps require an extensive background check for all the counselors and all of the people that is required by state law. We have outside organizations that conduct clinics and or camps in our park, and for some reason or other, they are not required to do the same kind of background checks to protect the children as we are. And this is just a request to make them do the same, go through the same process as us.
Correct, and some of the camps, I don't want to misrepresent, because some of the camps may in fact be doing that, but this just guarantees on behalf of the town and our families, and the municipality, that we are bringing them up to the standards that we have to maintain, and also all of our sports leagues have to are held to that same standard by their organizations as well. So, you know, it doesn't seem right with everything that's been going on with some recent situations in Hudson Valley, when you really look at that we check all of our staff, anyone that can interact with a child in a summer camp program, and then potentially we're renting our town fields, and they may not have done the same checking, so.
Right, and my feeling is the expectation of the public is going to be, because it's an approved event in our park, that those standards do get upheld. So I think it makes sense. So do I have a motion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next up is a request to update our sports league agreements to include AED requirement language. You want to explain this?
Last year, the governor put forth legislation for day camps and for all sports leagues that have at least 5 or more teams in their league to have an AED implementation plan, to have at least one, for the sports programs, to have at least one person trained in the implementation of use of that apparatus, and to have an AED on site at every game and practice. So our leagues are in compliance with that. We have been discussing this since last year, but this is just to bring the language in their league agreements up to that standard. They're all private leagues, they're not run by the town, so this is to make sure that the language exists, that it's their responsibility to follow that legislation and to make sure that they're training, that they have their own AED, that they have those, have an AED practice, and that they understand that they need to do that.
So the bottom line is we're updating our agreements to say that we require them to comply with that legislation.
Right, and they're already doing it. I've been talking to them since last year. The only thing I do want to point out is when I was reviewing my memo and everything for this evening, I did leave out one word, so I will need to amend that. So when the actual language is written, I left out the word trained. That one person available games and practices who is trained in the administration of the AED device. So, I'll add that word.
Okay. Do a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next is a request by NAMI Mid-Hudson for us to approve displaying ribbons and declaring May Mental Health Awareness Month. They do this every year. Do I have a motion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried. That concludes the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about or discuss? Okay.
It seems we're a little divided on where we're going in this town, and thought we were united till last meeting. We had a moratorium. We outlawed, I sponsored a bill to outlaw 3 stories because we don't even own a ladder truck in this town, and you see your fire taxes are higher than your town taxes. So we accomplished that except for town center. For those of you who don't know what town center is, it's something that's been on our books in our comprehensive plan for over 25 years. It is coming to fruition now. They signed to start the sewer plant. They're paying $300,000 a year for that, so they're kind of forced to do something now. They had no sunshine clause, which is a little disturbing, which meant that they could have waited 30 years to build it, what they did basically. So, town center, we're facing 610 townhouses and apartments with 40 to 45 businesses. basically, the entrances are the circle where the mobile is and the circle where the McDonald's is. So you're looking at 2,000 cars a day coming in and out of there, which is something I think would be a nightmare, actually. But we do have some negotiating power because they want to pilot now, so that's something that Al and I were working on with the developer. But now it's election time, things are starting to change. We had a moratorium on the rest of the town for apartments, not the whole town, for
You're going just against
the Hamlets, but that's where all the big apartments can go. And as you see, they're coming. There's another 150 that just got in front of the planning board before I put that moratorium. So we're facing right now, with that moratorium that we had, 800 apartments, okay? At the last meeting, we were going to get presented, which we were late on, right? A law to outlaw those apartments in that district. But we're divided down. The board voted to not reenact the moratorium, which is to me like opening Pandora's box. Because we have an application for a second town center near ShopRite, another 500 to 800 apartments. At this time, at minimum, I've been told it would be over $150,000 since I've been a board member to open a comprehensive plan. I received an estimate from Barton Judas, who's one of our engineers, for $70,000. That is pennies to decide the fate of this town. I would like to put a motion that we accept this and
No,
move forward.
we'll get another estimate.
I knew you were gonna say that, Richard.
Well,
It's half the price.
We'll get another estimate.
Wait a minute, it's half the price, it's $70,000, they have every resource, I'm not looking for the cheapest, I'm looking for a company that can do it all. So I'll tell you this, would you agree to accept this, we can get another price, if you get a cheaper price that can compare, I'm willing to entertain that, but are you willing to open this comprehensive plan and vote on that tonight?
Yes, I should have done it
Okay.
a long time ago.
Okay, so I put a motion, do I have a second? Richie, a third?
You made a motion to open the comprehensive.
To open a comprehensive plan, we will get another estimate, if you wanna do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't accept that.
Second of all, I say, that's done?
Is that the motion?
Yep.
And then we have a second?
Yep.
Sure, okay.
All in favor?
You wanna do a roll call on that?
Sure.
Okay,
We're gonna get the second, bid.
Well, this
Yes.
is a motion.
We were just agreeing, we're opening the comprehensive
Open it.
plan.
So you're okay with that?
Get a
We'll
second.
open it after we,
All right.
let's
Get a
table
second.
it. We're gonna table it.
No, I don't want a table, we wanna
Well,
vote
we're gonna-
when I'm.
we're gonna table it.
I don't wanna table it.
Well, let's get it straight before we just.
No, all we're voting on that, we're gonna open a comprehensive plan. We can say where we're gonna hire you.
Yes,
Is
we
that
did.
okay?
Well, let's wait and see.
Richie,
Yeah.
you keep playing games, and that's what exactly what happened.
We're playing games.
Why would we wait?
That's right, why would we
Accept
wait?
the bid.
We'll get another proposal, I'll get two other proposals.
Let's see what they're saying first.
Okay, it's to do the whole process. It's the whole process. Richie, if you're ready, you had it in your packet.
We just got that.
Okay, but all I'm saying is, I'm not asking you to
I'm
hire.
almost
Yeah.
wanting to wait on this
Yeah.
as well.
I-
Well, that's what you did, okay,
Yeah.
that's what you voted last time, Susan, I'd like you to explain yourself. You voted not to renew the moratorium, which
I
means
agree.
we just allowed another apartment complex to come in at 500 apartments.
This one here has
Wait a
been
minute,
going
I
on
asked
for
you-
40
Do you
years.
have the applications?
Yeah.
Do you have all those applications?
Well, if you open, we had the application presented to us.
Okay, where are they?
They gave it to us, you had them too.
No, do you have, what did you say, 1,000 apartments? Do you
Wait a
have-
minute, wait a minute, we have 610 apartments for town center. Yes, I do have it, and you have it too.
No, but the others that you're talking about.
Well, if it's 500 apartments, if the bottom line is you just open Pandora's box.
Yeah, but you're just against it.
I'm not against it.
The town center, you say it's gonna happen tomorrow. It's not.
I don't care what happens, it's not our job.
And do they have
No,
water?
wait, Rich,
They don't
our-
have water.
wait a
You're
minute.
talking about sewers.
Yes,
Do they
we
have
got water. Yes.
We don't have water.
What are you talking about? It's all approved.
Who's paying for it?
Well, that's their problem.
Well, I know.
See, I think that's where we're getting it wrong, Alan. Isn't it our job to determine zoning, not who gets to come in?
Well,
Correct?
you're doing it, you're just shutting
Wait a
everyone else
minute,
out.
wait a minute. That was our goal, that's right, that was my goal. My goal, as your town representative, was to slow this town down before we
No,
implode.
you're
If it's-
stopping
Wait a
it.
minute, I'm not stopping it. We have almost 800 apartments on the books now, even with the moratorium. That could be built. When they get built is not our job. That's where you're wrong. You
Well,
guys
you're
wanna pick and
stopping
choose.
everyone
No,
else.
I'm
His
not
place
stopping.
couldn't happen for another 20 years.
That's,
So
first of
no
all,
one can do anything for
first of
20
all, it
years.
is untrue. Town center has to move forward. He wouldn't have voted to pay $300,000 a year for a sewer. That's what he's paying. He paid it last year, he's paying it this year. He'd be bankrupt if he doesn't move forward. But Richie, it's not our job. Am I right or wrong? Is it our job to determine who builds what, or is it our job to make zoning laws?
Zoning regulates the use of property, not the individual.
Exactly.
Who owns it or uses it.
Thank you.
There's
So
another-
that's what you're doing. You're playing the game that you shouldn't be playing.
There's another thing I wanna point out though. A motion to open the comprehensive plan doesn't really get you where you need. Under 272A of the town law, either the town board is going to prepare a comprehensive plan and amendments, or by resolution, you can designate the planning board or a special board with that task.
Correct, but at least the people will have input and they will make the decision for what we do,
I
right?
think the point she was making is that the motion on the table doesn't meet the code's requirement for updating the plan.
I agree with
We
you
have to
guys.
decide
If
who's going to do
If
it.
you didn't agree with the law that we were gonna get presented, I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is, we should have kept the moratorium on, open the comprehensive plan, figure out what the people of Lagrange want. Okay, so then, can we do that, Susan?
What?
So can we put the moratorium back on?
No,
Why not?
because we're not.
Well, first of all, you're one, I'm asking Susan.
Okay, we voted no.
We can vote again.
Okay.
Well, so you don't wanna do it.
Well, yeah.
So the record shows you don't wanna do it, right?
We already
I
discussed
wanna
that.
open up the comprehensive plan.
But, and leave, but open up the comprehensive plan without a moratorium?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Why do I think we-
Because then basically they just gotta get their applications done.
There is no requirement to have a moratorium.
Of course there's not. But we already know what we're facing.
And it almost never is done. Right?
I've seen it 50-50, to be honest. It depends on the type of uses.
What happens if we leave ourselves with the comprehensive plan, the moratorium, no moratorium, and the people come in and say they don't want this, they convince the board they don't want it, but there's no moratorium?
So, under New York law, developers do not have a vested right until they have constructed significant improvement. So in other words, in New York State, you can go through the planning board process, you can get an approval, and until you start
The work.
digging the
Okay.
foundations,
Okay.
the code can be amended up until that point. Now, many municipalities will, when they do zoning amendments, grandfather applications that have a planning board approval, or, for example, in the city of Poughkeepsie, we just adopted a new zoning code for the first time in 50 years. We grandfathered anybody who had already made a presentation to the planning board because we knew their application was complete.
But-
There are different ways to do it, but my point is, nobody has a vested right until they have really those foundations in the ground under New York State law.
So, all right, so I understand that, and if you don't wanna vote to put a moratorium back for now, that's it, but we will agree tonight that we are gonna open this comprehensive plan. I mean, you agree that that's important at this time?
Yeah, it's very.
All right, so let's put a motion on the floor that we're,
You made a motion, we have a
I
second.
just need a third.
Well, we don't
We
need
got
a
it.
motion and a third, we need to vote.
Okay.
So, the two of you are yeses. Susan? Yes? Yes.
Oh, this is, okay. All right, thank you. That was like a-
Other comments from the board?
Yes, the construction and the office, is that something that we discussed at this point, as far as?
I don't think we're allowed to.
When it's personal, ask Rebecca?
I don't know. I gotta do it on the floor. Tired of hiding.
Well,
All right, we have to make a motion to go into executive session on the topic, but if you're talking about, the employment history of particular employees.
No,
it's
we're just
appropriate
looking-
for executive session.
No, we're talking about what we're gonna do with infrastructure with that office. So that's nothing to do with personnel, right?
notice that. Big
Well, I
project
think
just for
the comment being raised is that some of these improvements are being made regarding who is where.
And we did that once, it didn't work, I don't know why we don't just discuss it and make a decision. I mean, money's a big factor for me. What about you?
Of course.
Fiscal responsibility, taxpayers.
Because the clerk asked me for dividers, she has the money in her budget, I'm fine with that. Office dividers, right? You okay with that?
Ask the board.
Right. I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
The dividers are fine.
It's-
It's just we're not gonna spend a ton. of
Right,
money.
if that doesn't, if
I
that.
think we think they're gonna cost, what, $2,000?
Oh, yeah.
Right, and it's already in the budget.
Make a motion.
No, we don't have to make a
We
motion.
don't even need one.
We just,
I mean, if someone's not happy with that, in other words, security issues brought up, we do have an empty office downstairs, that's an option.
I'm sorry, can I make a comment? The empty office downstairs does not solve the problem.
Okay.
Okay, as the receiver of taxes, last year alone, I collected $71 million. 366,000 of that was cash at that window. I am across from this room, which is the courtroom. Buddy's Mobile was robbed by 3 people. A defendant stood outside this door, waiting to be arraigned, and watched me take cash at that window, that when you knock on it, the whole glass rattles. I am not safe, but as the receiver of taxes, I am personally responsible for all that money I collect. I cannot be. Besides the fact, the postal meter for the entire building is located in that office. So when I am collecting cash, that door is opened continually. And I've spoken to staff in other departments in this building, and they don't get it. My safe is also, when I'm in my safe, my back is to my door. I need to be secure, and I need to be safe, and I am not at present. Every department in this building has their own space. The town clerk and myself have nothing in common. We have no crossover. I am entitled to a secure and safe location to do what I was elected to do, which is to collect the taxes and the water sewer rents.
Okay,
And
not curtains, you can't shut the curtains when you're counting money? That's
How
why
am
we
I
put
gonna
them in?
shut the curtains out?
That's why we put them up, I thought.
No, we put the curtains up, so when I'm there after hours counting money, and it's a court night, the people do not see me lined up counting thousands of dollars. Last month, I had over $20,000 in cash on my desk, and the town clerk left the door wide open.
I guess we have 2 options. We've never had a problem before. Usually if somebody's in court, we have
Never had
police
a
here.
problem before.
Wait a minute. And we do have the option with the open office downstairs.
You're gonna have 1,900 people from January, 1,900 people paid cash at that window. You're gonna have those people go downstairs and go to a dead-end hallway?
That's where they used to go.
Function? Really, Al?
Yes, that's where they
Al,
used to
and
go.
you know what, Al? This town has grown tremendously. The town clerk has decided this week that I can't do my overflow business at her window because she owns the window. I don't think anybody owns anything in this
Well, those are
room.
my options.
I deserve respect for the department in which I work for, that everybody in this town elected me for, and I'm not receiving that respect.
I don't think the taxpayers want to pay $20,000, $30,000.
I should not be sharing an office with
Well, that was her
individuals.
office from day one, and you go
Oh,
downstairs.
because her name is on the door, she
That's right,
owns the
she's the
room.
clerk.
That is a ridiculous assumption.
I know it is to you. All right, what do you guys want to do?
I think we're going to proceed.
Okay, so that's what we're doing for now. We can obviously look at other options down the road.
I'm sorry, we already had somebody come in for dividers, and you know what he said?
But,
The room is too narrow. You can't put dividers in that room.
okay. Well, that's,
And how does that solve my insecurity?
we never had a security problem till
We
you-
never had a
till now,
security problem.
We didn't. We never did till now.
Interesting.
Yeah, we function
I
fine.
think we're done.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to talk about? We have, open it up for, do you have a motion to open it up for public comment? All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Sir?
Good evening, Jeff Kaiser, Schuyler Drive, Lagrange. Been a resident here for 62 years. I have one question and a comment. I didn't quite understand your comment about a town center with comparison to the fire tax, to the town tax, and then you
No.
didn't explain yourself. What is that?
What I was talking about is we outlawed 3 stories. because the fire department doesn't have a ladder truck. That was one reason. That was one reason. Our fire tax now exceeds our town tax, so obviously it kind of makes sense. Do we really want 3-story housing in our rural community?
Okay, I don't see how that has anything to do with the fire budget, though.
Well, because you can't, right now, we rely on, if there's a fire in a 3-story building, we're bringing the kids here, someone else, but at some point, you have to own your own ladder trucks. That's why, that was one of the reasons.
Yep.
Plus, we are trying to keep us a little more rural.
Well, we're not rural anymore.
Well,
There's plenty of buildings in
I
town
can
that.
tell you, what's on the books, town center alone, just town center project alone, without any of the others,
There's
is a
plenty of,
10% growth in our town.
there's plenty of buildings in this town that could use a ladder truck, okay?
Right. Right,
So
but we're still
The town
fine.
could use one now,
Right.
so.
Well, that's up to the fire department, not up to us.
My comment is, I have a concern with the town clerk's position. I don't know all the rules and how the play is here with politics and how things go, with the town clerk. It's an elected position. I understand that some positions I've heard in the past, like town highway supervisor, like they don't really have to be there. You're elected, you can only have to show up for 4 hours or whatever a year to be on the job, you get paid your salary. I've worked hard all my life. I've worked hard all my life. I've always shown up for my job. And if you're an elected official, I would assume you're expected to show up for your job and not take the easy way out and not show up for your job. Over the years here, I've always got great service from the town clerk's office, and it just seems like lately it's not that way. I came last year to get a hunting license. We don't give a hunting license out. Why is that? We don't know. The town clerk is out of office. When is she gonna be back? We don't know. She's out with an injury or surgery. They said surgery. I said, oh, sad to hear that. What kind of surgery is it? Well, we don't know. I said, well, usually if you have, knee replacement, you're gonna be out of work 6 to 8 weeks. We aren't told anything. So I don't know how a town can run and have the town clerk leave and there's no town clerk. Who's doing the work? I don't quite understand that. I don't know, expect you guys to answer that maybe tonight, but who is doing the town clerk's job? We're paying someone to do the job. I expect that person to be there. We elected them. I know what the law is. You don't have to be here, but that's pretty sad that you take a position and you're not going to be here. I come this spring, pay my mom's taxes, get a fishing license. We don't do fishing license. You have to talk to that woman over there. A woman comes to the counter. I said, what about fishing licenses? I don't know how to do it. I don't know anything about it. I guess at the point, she was the assistant to the town clerk, but she couldn't do it. I said, is there someone here that can do it? I said, I can go get someone. The town clerk comes out from the back office, and I asked her, why can't she do this? And she gave me 100 excuses. I won't get into it. She gave me 100 excuses that I countered. Oh, it's a new system. It's this, it's that, which is, it's not a new system. Only certain people can do it. I said, well, how can you go to Dick's and get a license from a teenager running a register, but I can't get one at the town? Oh, it was just 100 excuses, okay? In the fall, I was told you'll have to go to another town to do it. I just think some of these services are expected to be done in our town, and it's not being done. It's simple. It's not the end of the world, hunting, fishing license, but it's always a service that's been done here, okay? So I question her. Not into politics at all, don't talk to a lot of people, start talking to a few people, and they're like, oh yeah, I can't get a handicap permit, the town clerk's not there. Then you hear other people, the town clerk's not there, the town clerk's not there. Oh, she's gone through 6 assistants in 6 months, they can't stay on the job. So I don't know what the issue is there. When I talked to her, she said I was out with surgery. I said, glad you're feeling better and you're back to work. But she's not here a full day. I believe when you ran for office, you visited my house, and one of my concerns was, I said, well, geez, we're a commuting community now, everybody commutes. Can you have like late hours one night a week or one time? Oh, I'm looking into that. Well, you've been in office for a very long time and nothing has changed. You close an hour for lunch. The average person that works can't get here if you're commuting. I just don't understand, what the process is here, why, that we're not getting the service that we should be getting from the town clerk. There's something else I think, I don't know what it was now, but, I just don't understand, what the problem is here. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. And then, again, very odd, small world, how pieces fit together at times. I run into somebody, and I was telling them about what happened. I said, yeah, I'm just not happy with the town clerk. I said, I kind of complained the other day. And they said, oh, that's funny. That was you? I said, yeah. Oh, well, the town clerk said, oh, I just want to let you know, I'm not a spy, and I wasn't put up to this by the Republican Party to come and harass you. So I'm not a spy, I'm not kind of some person to come in and bother you. I was just an average citizen coming to pay my tax and try to get a fishing license, which I couldn't get. I'm not some kind of spy trying to stir the pot here. I have nothing to do with anybody here, I don't care. I just made some comments and kind of questioned, and so I'm not some kind of person here trying to get under someone's skin. It was just some normal comments and questions that I had. Thank you for your time.
Other comments, questions?
I just wanted to say, Christine had to have surgery this year. I won't say it. It really isn't, but it should be said.
That's HIPAA, so don't tell us.
I'm gonna say, we had to hire people, the deputy clerks have to be hired as residents of Lagrange, which is very difficult. The person she hired didn't work out, we had no choice but to remove licenses this year because she couldn't do it, and she did not have a deputy. So it's the first time, how many years you've been the clerk?
17.
Okay, it's the first time in 17 and a half years, and it's actually the first complaint I've ever seen on our clerk in 17. Well,
I'd like
you're done, you're done. You made your comment.
No, this
you
is,
go
we're
to
not
vote.
gonna get
It's
into
not
an
a debate.
argument.
You said your comment, I said mine.
Sorry, but that's
Thank
not
you.
what this is. Other questions or comments? Sir.
Thank you. David Machia, Town of Lagrange again, and I had 3 minutes of stuff, but now I feel like I've got 17 minutes of stuff for your 17 years. You went through 6, is that really? 6 deputy clerks? I mean, I know that they were having trouble, and there were even times where the clerk is responsible for the deputy clerk. She's an elected official. The supervisor doesn't have say on what the deputy clerk does, but I remember one point, the deputy clerk wanted to come to a meeting, and you told her not to attend the meeting, and you had a special meeting with no minutes. And then she got fired, like in days after that. You told her not to issue minutes when they were ready. There's a lot of problems with that. The clerk was assigned to the ethics board purposely to allow the ethics board to function. You have some rule where there needs to be a town employee on the ethics board, so you had her off of it the entire time, and then as soon as you wanted to prosecute a member of the board, you brought her in, and then now that you've lost that because there's no findings of anything wrong, now you're going to take her out so that you can't have a functioning ethics board. It just seems unethical. Also, the ethics law said that if somebody resigns, they remain active until their replacement is put in. So I'm assuming that you're going to be there until you appoint a new replacement so that we can continue to function with an ethics board. Let's see. I saw that there was the reported correspondence for the first time in a long time. The Hot Ass Woods email, I guess, that you received. What is the requirement, or how do you decide if somebody corresponds with the town, if you're going to tell the public or not? Because I don't think I've seen almost any correspondence from anybody ever listed on the agenda until this one time, and he didn't even ask for it. It didn't say, put me on the agenda. This is the first time that you decided to just do it. All these other people who, resignations you've never put in as correspondence, that's correspondence. That's information that you received and isn't on the agenda. With the Hot Ass Woods, I'd like to just read the last sentence of this code. Per annum, interest on cash escrow deposits shall be reinvested in the account until the applicant and/or developer is released from liability. That individual, that applicant, put money into the town, you held it for years, and the code says you shall put it in an interest-bearing account, and you didn't, or you just didn't give him his interest? And you said that he knew all the amounts when he signed up for this, but that's not true. You just kept tacking on more charges and more charges. How could somebody come in here to do a project and you just continue adding more charges? Someone could go bankrupt and they don't even know if they're approved yet. It's ridiculous. The process for estimates. Let's see.
Time?
You're gonna give me time?
Yeah, we are. Any other?
After that question went
Any
for
other
17
questions?
minutes?
Sir?
All right.
Hi, everyone. Robin, resident of the town. I think recently, in the last few months, we've learned of a situation where a after-school program, one of the persons got in trouble for, and got criminal charges for inappropriate contact with minors. I'm glad tonight that the Parks and Recreation has stepped up to ensure that they're going to put some more stringent requirements on individuals coming into contact with minors. Is there a way to, in the town, propose legislation that any after-school programs that are not currently required to have background checks have those same checks put in place so we can protect our children? And I know it's, someone mentioned that situation happened in Pleasant Valley, but this particular business had 6 locations, and one of them was in the town of Lagrange. Actually, at the Apple Valley Shopping Center, then they had recently relocated to Route 55, a little bit further down. So is there a way to put in place regulations that would then require these businesses to have background checks for their employees while we wait on the state laws to catch up for these types of after-school programs?
That is likely not something the town would be vested authority with. So the way the law works is the federal government gives powers to the state gives powers to the counties and the municipalities that are lower. And I know the county is looking to see if there's an option, but I don't believe those would fall within any authorities that have been vested. The only exception would be a program hosted by the town would have.
Which
But I'm
is
familiar with the
the
business.
policy change we made tonight, because those things are being hosted on our property. I think what you're saying is I don't know that we have the authority to do it, which I think was your question.
Right. Okay. All right. That answers. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yes, ma'am.
Once I became elected, I took an oath that I would personally be responsible for the money that I collected. Since you're gonna maintain that I stayed in an unsecure, unsafe environment, I would like for the minutes of tonight's meeting to reflect that I cannot be held personally responsible for any of the monies that I collect should I get robbed in that room.
You're not. If you got robbed in that room.
She's an elected official. She's still responsible.
I'm only covered for $1 million.
Your
71.7.
comment has been noted,
Okay.
and we can
And I
include
would
those
like for
in
the town board to actually look for maybe paid security for me while I'm in collection. Thank you.
Yep, others? Do I have a motion to close the?
I got another one.
You're done. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, all opposed?
Rebecca, I know we've done this actually with him actually, and I just want to answer the comment that we didn't give interest on the escrow. That applicant came to us, remember, Alan, and we extensively researched it. It does say that in the code, so I researched it with the attorney. We do not collect, we only have to give them interest if we collect it. And I even checked with all the other towns, we do it the same way. We don't collect, it would be too hard to do in an escrow account. Most people use credit instead of cash for their bond anyway. And that is why he did not receive interest. We researched it. Rebecca, remember we did work on that? Okay, so that takes care of that.
And then the comptroller
And as far
resigned
as-
because he disagreed with you.
Please, it was not true on the ethics board, actually, on the case you were talking about, our clerk was accused. So that's not true, and I don't know why she resigned from it, but I'm sure she's got a lot going on in her life, that had nothing to do with the town board. Those are my comments for tonight.
I would also note the comment regarding continuing on the board is again another situation where a law is being misquoted. What that provides is until somebody's successor, so in other words, if a term of office ends, they remain on until their successor is appointed. It's not something that can force somebody to remain on a board if they no longer wish to remain on a board.
Anything else? I have one last thing. No, we're done with public comment.
Oh, yeah.
No, you never closed public comment.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
You made a motion?
Shut
And you
up.
voted?
Just shut your mouth. You're wrong about everything, every day, every minute of every day. We already closed
We
it.
took a roll call vote?
Yes, that's how things are done. I'll take a roll call vote.
Not in this town. Not yet.
Any event, this is our first pass at short-term rentals.
Oh, good.
So take a look at it and see what we do.
This is about Airbnb. You guys are interested in those, and come back.
Do you want me to look at it, or are you gonna wait until you get comments?
Now, wait until this stuff's done.
This is gonna be an interesting one.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carried.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
You only stop development in this town to allow town center to be sold. It's a project that's not gonna happen. And you're stopping every other developer from spending money here just so you can have town center get sold. 40 years it's been approved.
For the record, the town center is not approved. So it hasn't been approved for 40 years, it's not approved now.
Oh, it's
just
not approved?
another thing
Not approved?
that you don't know what you're talking
As Rebasser just said, it's approved? I told you. How's it going? What the I told you you should come see one of these meetings before you got the nervous.
Everyone just didn't walk away from people, and the ring camera's still recording.
What did I
I
say?
have your idle threat that I sent to the
What did I
sheriff.
say? Now I know where you live? I said now I know where you
As you
live?
walked away.
I said now I know where you live.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I
I've
know
known
where you live.
lived, and it's not Lagrange, Hopewell
Now I know
Junction.
where you live.
Want me to spit the rest of your address out for everybody listening?
Now I know where you live.
Good. If you ever come to my house again,
I was going door to door
I don't care.
as a candidate, as I'm allowed
And you're
to.
allowed to, sure.
Yes, and
But
I
don't
went
make an
door to
idle
door.
threat when you walk away.
I did not
Don't
make
make an idle threat when you
I
walk
didn't
away.
make any threats.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
And everyone thinks you did.
Nobody
'cause I sent
thinks
it to
I
the
did.
state police,
No,
the
they
sheriffs,
don't.
and I
No.
sent it to your Republican people. See what happens now.
Doesn't matter.
See what happens now.
I didn't do anything wrong. I did what everybody
Make
else
idle
did.
threats when you leave someone's residence.
I made no
And I was
idle
home
threats.
with my kid.
Yes,
You're
you are.
lucky. You're lucky.
I'm lucky. Why?
You're lucky.
Why am I lucky?
Take it as it
Because
is,
you
you're
didn't
lucky.
shoot me because I was going door to door
Someone need a
as
gun
a
for you. Are you
candidate.
kidding me?
What would you do?
You think I need a gun for
What
you?
would you do? As a candidate going door to door, collecting signatures, what would you do to me?
And then when you found out who it was,
Yeah.
I had the whole conversation.
I said, oh, I guess I'm not going to get
Had
your
the whole
signature.
conversation
Now I know
before
where you live. That's
it went
it.
to the proper people.
Good.
So just so you know, you come to my doorstep again.
Why would I
everyone,
come to your
everyone
doorstep
knows.
again?
Everybody knows.
All your
Just so you
neighbors,
know.
all your neighbors.
Just so you know.
I don't have to go to your doorstep.
Just let me know because you know where I
Why
live,
would
right?
I know where everybody lives.
Make an idle threat again.
I didn't make an idle
It's already
threat.
been documented.
What
You
idle
go
threat
check
did I
with the
make?
state police.
What
You
idle
go
threat?
check with the sheriffs.
Tell me the idle threat.
Every one of
I
them
didn't make an
said
idle threat.
that's an idle threat.
Saying that I know where you live is an
As
idle
you
threat.
walk away from me, because you know I wasn't gonna scratch on your little board my name.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
Just saying, it's an idle threat.
You're trying to make it look like I'm a threat because I went door to door.
You know, be careful.
You're ridiculous.
It's
You're
what you said when you walked
embarrassing.
away. You didn't say it to my face. You said it. Now I know where you live, walking away from my residence.
So what? I was
It's an idle
walking
threat.
away.
It's an idle threat.
I said, now I know where you live.
Be careful.
Idle threat? What does that even mean?
Be careful.
You're telling me to be careful? Is that a threat? Are you threatening me?
I'm not going to be careful.
As you're walking away, you're threatening me?
I said it to your face 1,000 times. Be careful.
You're walking away, making
I
idle
said it
threats
right
to
here
me?
right to your face. Be careful.
Be careful of what?
In general, be careful.
Be
It's a good
careful
thing
of
to be
what?
careful of.
Okay, now I know where you live.
No, I don't. I don't care
Stop
about
threatening.
him. That's not a threat. Telling someone to be careful is like, hey, when you walk, leave. It's wet outside. Be careful.
And so when you said, now I know where you live to me, That wasn't a threat? And now everyone knows where you live.
You're in the neighborhood. It's everywhere.
And now I know where you live. Because
But I don't come to your door and ring your doorbell.
I went to thousands of houses. I know where everybody lives. Thank
When
you.
you walked away from their house, you didn't go, now I know where you live.
Yeah, now I know where everybody lives. That's the point of going door to door.
I'm just letting you know it's been documented. That's all.
Okay.
Shut the light, sir.
Of course it's being documented. Yeah.
Come on, so we can shut the light. Come on, sir.
It's a piece of land that's a broken down trailer. It's an eyesore for the community.
You're a danger to the people in this building, and you're hired for security?
Yeah. So I can lock up.
I know.
Pretty soon we're gonna have more policemen here than prisoners.
Don't appreciate being threatened.
Yeah, no, that's really.
I just saw Dave, the truck driver. Have a good night.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think trying to do something that's really, that sort of stuff is licensed.
No, I'll stay right here.
They had 6 locations, my kids were going to the one in Lagrange, and thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know they're trying to
Now
make
we
some
have
fast,
full-
but it's so
All
slow.
right, good.
It's like,
All right, have a good
Yeah.
night.
the town would enact it would be crazy.
Yeah. No, I understand, and I didn't mean to give a long-winded, actually just excuse.
No, I'm glad you explained it, thank you, I appreciate it.
Hold the door.
All I know is I don't have an alarm on my keys because of you, Chris, so.
Thank you.
Cameras around my house.
Dave, I missed the whole chicken thing.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so, well, at least there's no permits and all that nonsense now, but apparently my, my chicken coop might be a little bit too big. You might need, okay.
Yeah, still recording. For safety. Can't believe he came up to me like that. Alright, should have turned the camera around. That was exhilarating.
Meet up somewhere else?
Yeah. Just give me